Nairobi County is not just any other county. It is a capital city. When we were having the debate on the formula, we felt very strongly that the additional required support to the city cannot come through the same formula that gives all counties resources. Not just because of the population of the city, and the variables that you have that, change population and land mass to the 696 square kilometers. There was a feeling that there needs to be some additional support, actually quite significant additional support for the capital city. Now, if you look at the Urban Areas and Cities Act, Section 6, it couches this agreement or an agreement in mandatory terms. It says there shall be an agreement. Yeah, it doesn't say there may be an agreement or there could be an agreement. It says there shall be an agreement on management of the capital city. So, in fact, I hold that before today, you should have actually called me to ask me why is there no agreement that the law has asked for in mandatory terms between Nairobi as the capital and the national government. And if you look at that provision, it's not in the back out. The city is the seat of the national government as well. It hosts offices of diplomatic missions. Very many in Nairobi. We have the UN, we have UNICEF moving. We have around 150, foreign missions headquartered here. It talks about efficient transport network to rural areas, towns, and other local, regional, international cities, commerce and industry. It also provides a capital city to decentralize its functions and the provisions, which is what we're doing with the boroughs, which is really our version of municipalities. The borough structure in the capital. Section 6, clause 5 is the one that says, subject to subsection 2, which is the capital shall be governed and managed in the same manner as a county government. It says, subject to that, the two levels of government shall enter into an agreement regarding the performance of functions and delivery of services by the capital city. So, Chair, given the kind of resources that come to the city, the Senate graciously, through the Division of Revenue, provides 20 billion. The county government owns revenue, which we've really been pushing. It's been going up. The last financial year was 13.8 billion. It is hardly adequate for a capital city. In fact, we're scratching the surface. If you had 20 and 13, 33.8 billion for a city of 7 million people with the requirements. And remember, that census is done at night when Kinakarungo have gone back to the bedroom. So they're counted there. But the services they take, like the water is drinking, is during the day here. So we also lose quite a chunk, based on what time the census is done. Comparatively, Chair, I'll give you maybe one or two examples. If you look at the budget of Paris, is 1.4 trillion shillings, equivalent, with a population of 2 million people. We're at 7, at 33, which sometimes we don't even achieve because of the vagaries of collection of this revenue. So the first thing that I want to state very clearly is that having the agreement is mandatory. It's 14 years late because the law was passed in 2012, Urban Areas and Cities Act. Number two, this agreement is not a transfer of functions. It is not. Transfer of functions happens under Article 187 of the Constitution, where a function, and there must be a deed of transfer. And when you do the deed of transfer, one level of government handles functions ordinarily supposed to be handled by another level of government. We said we will not transfer functions. If anything, the national government transferred some to us through our school feeding program, which we run, and which is very successful. It is actually ordinarily would have been run by the national government. Number two, A transfer function creates an institution like the NMS that then is used to run those functions, ideally, or the precedents that we have in our country. There is no institution created under this agreement. The county shall do what the county does. The national government shall do what the national government does. But the national government can now, through its appropriation at the National Assembly, create a vote line and resources for the capital city, which are additional. And I'll give you an example because we've been trying to find ways. Nairobi has a shortage of schools, big shortage of schools. A city of 7 million people having 210 schools. I'm sure you can tell me the number of schools in a constituency in your, in Eldoret. In fact, the president is a former member of Eldoret North. He said he had 150 schools when he was MP. And so what we sought to do was to find an injection to build more classrooms, primary and ECD. That was done because of a lack of a framework. It had to be done through CDF. That the president then gave additional 1 billion to Nairobi MPs through CDF to add classrooms. It is not neat, because even that was a big fight in the National Assembly. Because other members of parliament then asked, why is it that they're getting 1 billion more, yet we're not getting that money? So it's a special arrangement. The only county which has that provision and which can leverage on it is Nairobi County. And so as the governor, I have to ask myself a question. If I am straining to provide these services efficiently, and there is a provision of the law that I can take advantage of and get an additional X billion, whatever amount it is, I must run towards that, opportunity for the benefit of the people. And the same goes for many other things. One of the things, for instance, Chairman, sorry, I don't take too much time. One of the areas we're partnering is on sanitation. On sanitation, work that ordinarily, would have taken us so many years to do. We are now doing a 54-kilometer sewer line, 27 kilometers on both sides of the river, through the River Commission that we jointly set up, the national government and the county. That project alone is 50 billion shillings. How long would it have taken Nairobi to get 50 billion shillings to do that project that covers the sanitation for the next 40 years for this city? It's a 1.8 by 1.8 box culvert. That project includes 6 billion of treatment plant in Kariobangi, 6 billion shillings. That project includes another 3 billion of last mile connectivity, which supports also the affordable housing and our urban renewal. It includes stadia, linear markets. Kamkuji grounds, if you go today, is different from what. So this also should, formalize some of these arrangements. I've gotten more than 1 kilometer now per ward, 7 billion. There is no space in my budget where I've gotten 7 billion additional. But these are things that are needed. So we took a pragmatic approach because, we can also decide to be too finicky about the exact provision of the law and not end up helping people who actually require these services. And they require them very, very urgently. I keep saying urban poverty is many times worse than rural poverty. When you have no money, you'll have nowhere to stay, nothing to eat. And so there are many, many projects that we're looking at in line with this. We have a problem with lighting, for instance. Nairobi has 50,000 lights. It needs 120,000 lights. There's 3.7 billion coming through that will create provision of these lights. But just like roads, and I'd like you to understand, just like roads, today I've seen a complaint somewhere of a flooded underpass here at Haile Selassie. That is a national road. In fact, it's an international road here. It's not Nairobi's road, but the blame will always go to the county. I've seen complaints of Jogo Road. It's not. The other time I had to intervene at Ojijo Road, which used to flood. In fact, Kazi would be submerged. An intervention meant, because the drain on Ojijo Road is 1.2 meter, the drain on Kipande is 0.6. It had to involve me looking for Kenha to sort it out. We have more than 7 wards in Nairobi without power. because transformers were removed. I have to look for the PS energy. It is not my function, but it's my responsibility as a governor. And so this creates for me a beautiful platform, an implementation committee that I chair. I chair that committee. Across me, I have the PS of energy. I have the PS National Treasury. I have the PS security. When there's a security problem, the county is blamed, yet I have no way to intervene. I don't think any other governor has such an opportunity. And we can meet twice, thrice. It is a real committee. The other one is just sets policy. That I can actually follow up what we've committed to do on water with that PS in that committee. Drainage improvement, we've got 1 billion. So long and short, Chair, is that I feel that this is it's a beautiful opportunity for the city. Of course, there's no agreement that is perfect. We can refine it. We can look at the nitty-gritty of what needs to be added. I've heard people saying the steering committee has too many people from national government, which I hear. I think that is true. So we can be equal. Some people have said, look at the chairing, etc. That is okay. Instead of the form of the agreement, let's look at the function, what we're actually going to gain as a city, pragmatically. Then we can sort out the form of how, who convenes the meetings, how what is done. It's a great opportunity for devolution. And I'm so confident that in the next 5-6 months, people will see a big difference in this city. Huge difference. Whether it is on cleanliness, whether it is on sanitation, whether it is on roads, on lighting. And as I was saying, this lighting of those roads, when there are no lights on Juja Road, people blame the county. Yet Kura should be lighting their roads. In fact, what we've agreed is no road contract should be given going forward without the aspect of street lighting. Kenha is the only agency that currently takes care of the lights and the bills for their roads. But since the county is given that responsibility, as opposed to maybe another county, when there's no light, it becomes a national security issue. So that interplay between national and county goes without saying. Finally, every capital city worth its salt in the world has similar agreements. Washington, D.C., Australia, if you go to Berlin, if you go to London, where you have the greater metropolitan area of London, if you go to Paris, if you go to Cape Town and Pretoria, it must be there. A capital cannot be ignored. So, Chair, I will leave it at that because I know there are many concerns, and I'm available to give any clarification. That is all.
Chair, Governor, thank you so much. Chairman, I think, Governor, we perused through the agreement.